Hello, welcome to episode 31 of live.withcode.uk. This one's perhaps a bit more ambitious than usual, so it might go on to maybe 15 minutes. I'll try and cut it off at that point. It's about string formatting. So what that means is we want to be able to write a program that can manipulate strings. We're going to draw a table of kind of like a pictogram. So we're going to take a chapter of Pride and Prejudice, and you can replace that with any text that you like. So Pride and Prejudice is a novel by Jane Austen. We just got it from an archive of free books. And it will go through all of that text and count how many times A appears and display that as a kind of pictogram, and then B, and then each letter in the alphabet. Why would we want to do that? Well, in cryptology, in solving puzzles, sometimes it's useful to know how many times each letter comes up in the English alphabet. Why? Because if you have a encrypted message, this one's been encrypted with a substitution cipher, so it doesn't make sense when we read this cipher text, but each letter here has been substituted, replaced with a different letter, and we don't know which letter has been replaced by which. The way to solve it would be to do a frequency analysis, which means to count how frequently, to count how many times each letter appears, and then match that to this graph so we can see the most frequently occurring letter in the English alphabet is usually E. So whichever letter appears the most times in this substitution cipher is likely to be an E. So we need to try and create this kind of pictogram in Python. Let's see how far we get. So first of all, we're going to need a data structure that stores all of the information. So we're going to use a dictionary for this, which actually you don't need to know about for the Edexcel GCSE. A list uses square brackets, and it would let you store lots of values in order. A dictionary is slightly different because it doesn't care about the order, but it does care about the relationship between the index, as in a key, and a value. So we can say like A comes up 5 times, B comes up, 15 times, and let's just pretend that C comes up 30 times, 40 times, whatever. So this is a dictionary, and it works in a similar way to a list, as in instead of indexing it by position, you have to index it by the key. So here, that 5 is the number, the value associated with the key of A. So it's really helpful for us. What we want to do is create a table that will iterate through each of those values and display them as a bit of a graph. So let's iterate. So let's say for letter in letters, print letter. That should just display all of the letters in our dictionary. Notice though that they're not in order. So our first job is going to be to sort them. Sort letters alphabetically. Let's make a list in order. Let's call it alphabet, because that's if I can spell, alphabet. Start with an empty list. We'll go through each letter and we shall add it to our list. Alphabet.append that letter. So now, if we display this, we should see a list containing all of the keys in our dictionary. The advantage of doing that means that we can sort it. So alphabet.sort hopefully now puts them into alphabetical order. That's useful for us because now we can iterate through them. So for letter in alphabet, and then if we print just those letters, we've got them in order. So now we want to make this into a table that looks a little bit like a frequency analysis, like this graph on here, but we're going to do it sideways. So let's print the title of our table. So it'd be useful to see the letter, and then I've got a pipe here, which is a vertical line, which on my keyboard is just to the left of Z. And then frequency. Frequency just means how many times. So rather than just saying the letter, it would be nice if we could say the value associated with that letter. So we go back to our dictionary on line 1, look up based on that letter. letters, and we've got the two values. The problem is they're not lined up very nicely. So the whole point of this video is about string formatting. So let's have a string and format it. We'll pass two parameters into that string format function. And then in here, it will expect to have two curly brackets. I like calling these moustache brackets or curly braces. So what this means is that first set of curly braces will take the first parameter, and then this second one will take the second parameter. Or if you really want to make it explicit, you can put the order in here, which gives you a bit of extra control. You can actually change the order if you want to. So you put the index in it and it'll swap them round. But I don't want to, I just want to keep it like that. The useful thing is here, you can say how long you want each string to be. So if we put a colon here, this title letter is L-E-T-T-E-R, 6 letters long. So if I say 6 here, it's going to space this out so it takes up 6 spaces. I'd also like it right aligned, so I'm going to use a greater than sign to put them on the right. Or alternatively, we could have gone for the default left align or center align. That on my keyboard is Shift and 6, but I'd like to keep it right aligned. Okay, we're getting there. Next job is to replace these numbers with a little bar graph. So let's just get the individual frequency first. Oops, frequency equals, and then let's replace that with this to make our code a little bit more readable. So we've just got the same thing so far. If we, instead of saying the actual number, want a little bar chart, we could just have equals sign as a string multiplied by that frequency. And then if we put bar in here, you'll notice that it's just taken an equals and multiplied it by how long it was. We might find that those bars are too long, so we could, if we want, just squash it down. So instead of multiplying by the actual value, we could use a integer division. So / on its own is normal division. Integer division just gets rid of, truncates any decimal places. So let's divide it by 5 to make it 5 times smaller, or by 10 to make it 10 times smaller. I'm going to stick with divide by 10. So that's really nice. The next job is to actually read this data from a file. And this is a bit more complicated. First of all, let's open the file. So with open story.txt, I've got a text file here called story.txt as f, and then f.read. What are we going to do with that? Well, I'd like to convert it all to lowercase because we're only dealing with lowercase numbers. And I should probably save that as story so that we can display the story. So we've got everything read in. Don't really want to display it, I just want to display the graph. Let's comment it, load the story. Oops, can't spell. So our next job is to process that so we get a dictionary of all of the values. Well, I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'll use a library called regular expressions, which will allow us to process all of the data. So we're going to find all, so every letter, so A to Z, this is a character class. We're going to find everything that's between A and Z, and we'll store that as letters. And let's just print that so we can see what it is at the moment. What have we got here? Oh yeah, we need to say what we're searching. So let's search from the story. So here it has found every single letter, but it hasn't kind of grouped them all together. It's just gone through a massive list and separated them out. We're getting a little bit closer, but we haven't got what we want yet. Now, it would be nice to make our dictionary. So we'll start with, so let's go for all letters. Let's start with an empty dictionary and go through each letter in our big long list of all of the letters that we've read from Pride and Prejudice. So first of all, if our letter is already in our dictionary, defined on line 9 here, then we just want to increase the value. So letters increased by 1. Otherwise, if we haven't yet added it, then we just want to add it in to begin with. So letters, letter equals 1, as in we've just found it once. So let's see if that works. Print letters. Has it worked? Yeah, it looks like it's counted up every time we've got C and got to 62. We've got a table now that we can use, and it goes through all of the alphabet, and it actually looks like the letter E comes out the most frequently. So don't really want to display that every time. We just want to display the frequency analysis. But I will put some challenges down at the bottom. I'll copy and paste these because we're running out of time. Here we go. So number 1, replace story.txt with your own story. It can be any free ebook, or you can write your own story to do the frequency analysis. Challenge 2, make all of the bars shorter. That should be nice and easy. You just replace that number here with a bigger number to squash it down. And then change the table so it shows the number as well as a bar chart. Well, you're going to have to put an extra value in here and maybe an extra value in the title of your table and add it into your string formatting. So I won't show you how to do all of those steps. So hopefully this has been useful to go through this string formatting. It's a really powerful way of manipulating, which means changing strings, which just means text. Thanks for listening. All the very best. Remember that you can find links to all of the interactive resources on live.withcode.uk, or if your school's signed up for the competitions, then you can compete against your classmates on compete.withcode.uk. All the very best. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.